Two words describe the person who helps you buy or sell a house: real estate agent and realtor. Most people use them as if they mean the same thing. They do not, and the gap between them is wider than a job title. So, what is the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent? About 3 million people in the United States hold an active real estate license right now. That estimate comes from ARELO, the Association of State Licensed Law Officials. Between 1.4 and 1.5 million of those people are realtors, according to the National Association of Realtors itself. So well over 1 million licensed professionals are not realtors at all. Somebody is about to handle the largest transaction of your life. Which side of that line they stand on is worth knowing. By the end of this, you will know which of those two words carries real weight, and which one is closer to decoration. There is also a line buried in the association's own rulebook that most agents have never read. It arrives in the second half, and it is the most useful sentence in this entire subject. Even people inside the industry get this wrong. Under the top ranking video on this exact question, one of the most upvoted comments is somebody pointing out how many broker realtors do not realize you can be a broker without being a realtor at all. There is a second question sitting underneath all of this. When an agent joins, is that even their own decision? That one turns out to depend on who signs the checks at their office. Start with the part that is set by law. A real estate agent holds a license issued by a state government agency. The license is the permission slip. Without one, taking a commission for representing somebody in a property sale is illegal in every state in the country. Getting one means state-approved coursework, a state exam, and a background check. In most states, it also means hanging that license with a supervising broker. The details move around from state to state. The required hours in Florida are not the required hours in Ohio. What never moves is the source. A government agency issues it, and a government agency can take it away. That is the entire meaning of the phrase real estate agent. Licensed by a state. It is the floor that everybody in this conversation stands on. Now the second word, realtor, describes a membership. A realtor is a licensed real estate professional who has also joined the National Association of Realtors, usually shortened to NAR. No state government hands out that title. The association does. NAR is one of the largest trade associations in the country, and membership costs real money. National dues for 2026 run $156 per member. That is only the national slice. State dues, local board dues, and multiple listing service fees stack on top, and they vary by market. Nobody can quote you a single honest all-in figure. Pay and you get the word. Stop paying and you lose the word. The term is also legally protected. Realtor is a federally registered collective membership mark, and NAR owns it. That is why the association asks for it in capital letters with a registered symbol beside it. It is also why NAR's own trademark rules say a non-member may never put the term next to their name, even when that person works inside a realtor firm. So the plain answer to the phrase people type into the search bar is this: every realtor is a licensed real estate agent. Plenty of licensed real estate agents are not realtors. One word reports a government license, the other reports a paid-up membership, which brings up the third word people trip over: broker. In most states, the license itself comes in tiers. The first tier is the salesperson or sales associate license. That is where almost everyone starts, and it requires working under a supervising broker. The second tier is the broker license. It takes extra coursework and, in most states, a minimum stretch of real experience. A broker can operate independently and can supervise other licensees. That is one ladder. Membership is a completely separate ladder standing right beside it. So, a broker with 25 years behind them might never have joined. A salesperson 2 weeks out of the exam can be a realtor on day one. Position on the license ladder tells you nothing about the membership ladder. Membership tells you nothing about experience. NAR is unusually blunt about this in its own trademark manual. The realtor marks, it says, are not and may never be used as a designation of a person's licensed status. Sit with that for a second. The association that owns the word is the one telling you what the word does not certify. It reports who paid their dues. It says nothing about license tier and nothing about experience. Whether an individual agent joins is very often decided above their head. NAR's own guidance on becoming a realtor covers this. Once the principals of a brokerage join, the agents and brokers affiliated with that firm have the option of joining as well. Option is the word NR uses. The money pushes harder than that word suggests. Where a firm's principals are realtors, multiple listing services have pointed out that the firm pays a non-member assessment for every affiliated licensee who stays out. The brokerage ends up paying either way. Plenty of offices simply make membership a house rule and stop thinking about it. An agent handing you a card with realtor printed on it might have chosen that word deliberately. They might have inherited it on their first morning. The card looks identical either way, none of which answers the question that actually matters to you. What does that membership buy the person sitting on the other side of the table? The main thing it buys is the Code of Ethics. NR adopted it in 1913 at the annual convention in Winnipeg. It came before most state license laws existed, which is the historical detail almost nobody mentions. The industry wrote rules for itself before the states got around to writing rules for the industry. A realtor agrees to be bound by that code. A licensee who never joined is not bound by it, and that is a genuine difference. It is the strongest thing anybody can say in favor of the word. It also gives you somewhere to go. Ethics complaints against a realtor are handled by the local realtor association through a grievance committee and then a professional standards committee. Discipline starts with mandatory education and a reprimand. It runs through fines up to suspension or termination of membership and MLS access. Losing MLS access is a serious professional injury. The multiple listing service is where the listings live. There is a live example of those association rules reaching an actual kitchen table. It is recent enough that every top-ranking video on this question predates it. NR settled the commission lawsuits in March 2024. The practice changes took effect on the 17th of August that year. 2 of them changed what a home buyer experiences directly. First, offers of compensation to a buyer's agent are now prohibited on the multiple listing service. Compensation still gets negotiated, it simply is not published there anymore. Second, an MLS participant working with a buyer has to have a written agreement signed before touring a home. Those agreements carry a conspicuous disclosure stating that compensation is not set by law and is fully negotiable. That is NAR's own wording, not a summary of it. Sellers also stopped being automatically responsible for paying both sides. Those are association rules, binding through MLS participation, and they changed how ordinary transactions run. That is this whole subject in one example. The membership side of the industry writes rules that reach you, quite separately from anything your state license law says. Now the line I promised you, the one sitting in NAR's own arbitration manual. In the section written for consumers, thinking about filing an ethics complaint, the association states plainly what it cannot do. Boards and associations of realtors cannot award punitive damages for Code of Ethics violations. They cannot suspend or revoke a real estate professional's license. NAR also says the primary emphasis of that discipline is educational. That is where the 2 words finally separate. Your state real estate commission licenses the person, and it is the only body that can act on that license. It is there whether your agent is a realtor or not. The association sits alongside it. It reaches conduct the state might never look at. Its heaviest punishment is expulsion from a club and the loss of access to a database. The Pennsylvania Association of Realtors puts the other half of it on its own website. If the professional is not a realtor, your only recourse may be the state licensing authority or the courts. 2 channels instead of 1. That is the honest value of the word. A second, voluntary layer of accountability running next to the legal one, and it never replaces the legal one. So, one sentence to take away. Real estate agent describes a license granted by your state. Realtor describes a paid membership that adds a second set of rules and a second place to complain, and neither word measures how good that person is at the job. That last part is what the vocabulary hides. Both words are about paperwork, neither one is about skill. One thing I would like to know from you. The last time you bought or sold a place, did you check whether your agent was a realtor before you signed anything? Or did you find out afterwards? Tell me in the comments, because I suspect almost nobody checks.